What's going on? What's going on? It's your brother Nubreed coming through with another live stream. So we have breaking news. Assata Shakur, a black liberation icon, has passed away. I believe she passed last night. For those who are unfamiliar who Assata Shakur was, she was a member of the Black Panther Party, falsely accused of killing a New Jersey police officer, fled into Cuba, where she, pretty much seeked refuge, seeked asylum there in Cuba, and she ended up living out to the end of her days. Although she was on the FBI, she was on the FBI most wanted watch list, and she just did a lot for Black liberation. And I want to just take a moment to acknowledge the sister Assata Shakur. You know, that was a different time back then. And I just want to go ahead and go to a brief remembrance of her legacy. You know what I mean? Something to really ponder on. This actually means a whole lot in the current climate of society we in today, right?
Those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org.
And what we're doing right now is we're pretty much remembering Assata Shakur in her own words. Got some rare recordings of the activist that was named FBI Most Wanted on that top of that list, right?
The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Juan Gonzalez. Welcome to all of our listeners and viewers around the country and around the world. We begin today's show looking at the case of Assata Shakur, a legendary figure within the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army. On Thursday, she became the first woman ever to make the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. In addition, the FBI in the state of New Jersey doubled the reward for her capture to $2 million. Shakur was convicted in the May 2nd, 1973 killing of a New Jersey state trooper during a shootout that left one of her fellow activists dead. She was shot twice by police during the incident. In 1979, she managed to escape from jail, and she later fled to Cuba, where she received political asylum. She has long proclaimed her innocence. On Thursday, FBI Special Agent Aaron Ford spoke at a press conference announcing Shakur's placement on the most wanted terrorist list. He refers to Shakur as Joanne Chesimard, her original name.
And yes, this was Tupac's grandmother. Or godmother, pardon me, godmother. And, people be thinking that the feds, the FBI just go after hardened criminals and drug mules and drug dealers. No, it's not quite like that. They go after people who have a voice, people who are for the liberation of our people. We have a long history of that. We have a long history of our revolutionaries being targeted by the feds.
Openly and freely in Cuba, she continues to maintain and promote her terrorist ideology. She provides anti-U.S. government speeches espousing the Black Liberation Army message of revolution and terrorism.
And see, they slapping that word T-ism on there, but let's just keep it 1,000. They did the same thing to Fred Hampton, that young 21-year-old man who they killed while he was in his bed sleep. All because they were speaking about liberating our people. Also, Malcolm X was on this list. Martin Luther King was on these lists. So let's not get it twisted. This woman who was falsely accused of killing that police officer when actually it was an act of self-defense because she left with 2 shots as well. And one of the people that she was with didn't make it out
what his or her political or moral convictions are is above the law. Joanne Chesimard is a domestic terrorist who murdered a law enforcement officer, execution style.
That's FBI Special Agent Aaron Ford. In a moment.
That's what they claim. But do we believe the feds in this point in time in 2025? Do we believe them when we can't even figure out what happened in Kirk's death? When it comes to the death of Charlie Kirk, who was, a suspected white supremacist, by the way, we can't even tell what really happened in that situation. So I don't believe nothing they say about our revolutionaries. I don't believe nothing they say about our people who was, speaking about freedom, our people who was speaking about what's going on in America, because I'm still in America. And I see the inequality. I see the hate.
Moment we'll be joined by two guests, the scholar and activist Angela Davis, who faced her own murder trial decades ago, and Lennox Hines, Assata Shakur's longtime attorney for some 40 years. But first, we turn to Assata Shakur in her own words. In 1998, Democracy Now! Aired her reading an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba. She wrote the message after New Jersey state troopers sent the Pope a letter asking him to call for her extradition.
My name is Assata Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves. I spent my early childhood in the racist, segregated South. I later moved to the northern part of the country, where I realized that Black people were equally victimized by racism and oppression. I grew up and became a political activist, participating in student struggles.
Now, this is a lot of irony, the fact that she passed away today. And she dealt with a lot of what was going on with student struggles. And, you see the suspected white supremacists or white Christian nationalists popping up at colleges, trying to debate, in a very sensitive time of history, they're trying to debate. And, our people are pretty much fed up. We just had a situation happen in Delta State University where a young man was hung from a tree, and they're claiming that it was self-deletion. And this happened, in Mississippi. Now, if somebody gets beat up on O Block, if somebody comes back from O Block with a black eye, it's safe to say that he got jumped, right? But if somebody is hanging from a tree in Mississippi, nobody wants to talk about that. But anyway, I say all that to say that this is one of our revolutionaries who was putting in work, fighting for what's true. Yup.
In 1998, Democracy Now! Aired her reading an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba. She wrote the message after New Jersey state troopers sent the Pope a letter asking him to call for her extradition.
My name is Assata Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves. I spent my early childhood in the racist, segregated South. I later moved to the northern part of the country, where I realized that Black people were equally victimized by racism and oppression. I grew up and became a political activist, participating in student struggles, the anti-war movement, and most of all, in the movement for the liberation of African Americans in the United States.
And that's what made her a threat. That's what made her targeted by police officers. Because y'all got to understand, the feds, they were targeting all of our revolutionaries of the Black Panther Party, and they were gunning them down. They hunted them down and gunned them down like dogs. And they claimed that they were a threat. And the man who sold Fred Hampton out, and I'm talking about Fred Hampton because that's one of the most notable that we can remember right now. He said that the Black Panther Party wasn't involved in any crimes. They sent the feds, they sent, listen, that they set up, what is that guy's name? The dude that said he was afraid of a Black Messiah emerging. Was J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover was sending the feds to spy and couldn't find nothing, but they were so threatened by the fear of a Black Messiah. What did they start doing? Straight up sending sting operations to assassinate our people. One by one. They were assassinating us. Yeah, that's what the United States government did. Yeah, that's a fact. And see, look, you got certain people coming in here, they getting upset because they don't like hearing their history. They don't like hearing their history told. But that's what they were doing. And so rest in power to Miss Assata Shakur, who was able to live to her early, almost her 80s.
I later joined the Black Panther Party, an organization that was targeted by the COINTELPRO.
Exactly. They were targeted by the COINTELPRO
program, a program that was set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to eliminate all political opposition to the U.S. government's policies to destroy the Black liberation movement in the United States.
Yes, because they didn't want us to be liberated. J. Edgar Hoover was the one who sicked his dogs. And yes, this New York native made it out. Yeah, they infiltrated us. They shoved drugs into our community. They put a lot of systemic racism in place around this time. Why? Because they was afraid of us actually rising up. Imagine this. The Panthers only had about what? Around 20, 30 chapters. Here you got Turning Point USA with thousands of chapters. And these people are touting Nazi speeches, having modern day Klan rallies. America First, that was a Klan organization. But they were so afraid of some young men and young women who were setting up food drives, breakfast programs, setting up stoplights, trying their best to police their own community. They saw that as a threat. Oh, they saw that as a threat. Yeah, she was labeled a fugitive from the law for killing a New Jersey State Police trooper. Yeah, that's true. But I don't believe it. I believe it was self-defense. Yeah, it was self-defense. And I don't believe nothing that the feds put out. Right now, as we speak, the feds is all over the place when it comes to Charlie Kirk's death. Y'all don't even believe the feds. The feds, they the ones who kicked down the door and killed Fred Hampton. Narrow Path, thank you for the support. Says, keep doing what you do. These devils can't stand the truth. Like the words say, man loves the darkness. Bricked of their whole deed. Yep. They don't like hearing their evil thrown back in their faces, what they've done. They don't know how to process it. That's why you got these right-wing. That's why you got these right-wing extremists at the moment trying to rewrite history. They don't want to remember the history, but we're going to remember. Rest in peace, Shakur.
Program, a program that was set up by the Bureau of Investigation to eliminate all political opposition to the U.S. government's policies, to destroy the Black liberation movement in the United States, to discredit activists, and to eliminate potential leaders. Under the COINTELPRO program,
look it up, COINTELPRO.
Many political activists were harassed, imprisoned, murdered, or otherwise neutralized.
Yep, and that's what they did. That's Fred Hampton right there, who so infamously said, notoriously said, you can kill the revolution, but you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. That's right. And see, I'm going to tell you, these damn suspected white supremacists and racists and neo-Nazis that show up in the chat, listen, I'm going to tell you, they mad we still here. They mad that we still even know this history. They mad that we still even talking about this and actually acknowledging those that was before us that put in the work. Because we still fighting. We still here. Their legacy didn't die off. They want to make, hey, listen, they want y'all to believe we were just straight up thugs and gangsters and drug dealers. No. These young men and women, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, spearheading whole movements, spearheading whole civil rights movements, that was out there bold. These were heroes that was fighting for a righteous cause, fighting for morality, not like a Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was a divisive little twant that had millions of dollars handed to him by the time he was 19. Charlie Kirk was a 31-year-old man going to college campuses, picking on college students. No, these people was really fighting for freedom, for justice and equality, and fighting just to have their self-sufficiency. Listen, they know they had to compare Charlie Kirk to Martin Luther King for a reason. Because they know Martin Luther King had a righteous fight. They know he had a righteous cause. They did that comparison because they couldn't have done it. Listen, they already know who was really fighting for morality and justice.
As a result of being targeted by exile or death, the FBI, with the help of local police agencies, systematically fed false accusations and fake news articles to the press, accusing me and other activists of crimes we did not commit.
Exactly. They used the press to lie on the Panther Party. And that was brought out multiple times. They had these shock pieces that they were putting out in newspapers. And if I got any moderators in the building, you know, get these devils. When you see a devil in here, just get them out of here. Right now, we remembering Assata Shakur. So do me a favor and just get the devils out of here. Because we remembering Assata Shakur right now.
Although in my case, the charges were eventually dropped or I was eventually acquitted, the national and local police agencies created a situation where, based on their false accusations against me, any police officer could shoot me on sight. Exactly.
See, this is what they do. This is what they do. They put out these shock pieces in the newspapers to make it seem like the Black Panthers was a threat to national security. They put an APB out on them. They put pretty much, I want to say it just like this. The feds put a hit out on the Black Panthers. That's what they did. The feds put a straight up
hit out on the Black Panthers. And they took them out one by one with extreme prejudice, with no type of recourse for their actions. And in 2025, we still here, not the Black Panthers, I'm not a Black Panther, but I'm saying our people are still here remembering our revolutionaries. This doesn't sound like a cop killer to me. This sounds like an educated woman that was fighting for justice and equality.
I commit. Although in my case, the charges were eventually dropped or I was eventually acquitted, the national and local police agencies created a situation where, based on their false accusations against me, any police officer.
Somebody said she belonged in jail. Guess what? She didn't. If she belonged in jail, she would have been there. But God had other plans for Assata Shakur. She lived her entire life free. And guess what that New Jersey cop is? Guess what that New Jersey cop is? He was maggot. Listen, he was maggot food decades ago. Yeah. She lived her whole life in Cuba. Eating good, living good, almost made it to 80. She lived her life free. And that cop was maggot food. So if she belonged in prison, the Most High would have had her in prison, but she wasn't. She narrowly escaped with her life after some radical, demonically possessed, gang-stalking police tried to assassinate her. That's what happened. Yeah, they tried to assassinate this woman. And she defended herself and narrowly escaped with her life. Because they were out here doing these no-knock warrants, kicking in doors, harassing, shooting, killing Panthers in their sleep, poisoning them, stalking them, hunting them down like Esau, the crafty hunter. Yeah. See, our people are superheroes. Superheroes. The have-nots went against everything. This woman was a superhero, just like a whole host of others.
Could shoot me on sight.
So they put out false allegations on her so they can shoot her on sight. But guess who made it out?
It was not until the Freedom of Information Act was passed in the mid-70s that we began to see the scope of the United States government's persecution of political activists. At this point, I think that it is important to make one thing very clear. I have advocated, and I still advocate, revolutionary changes in the structure and in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate self-determination for my people and for all oppressed people inside the United States. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation, the abolition of racist policies.
And she's 100%. She wanted us to listen. She wanted us to reclaim our image. She wanted to do away with the systematic racism and any construct that exploits us, any construct that is enriched off the backs of the slaves and those who were products of the transatlantic slave trade, as well as the natives to the land. Yeah. Rest in peace to Assata Shakur. Let's go.
At this point, I think that it is important.
And, you know, you got some of these devils coming in here. That's what they are. They're devils. You got some of these devils coming in here claiming that we're speaking racism when we remembering our sister. Why don't you go mind your business? You know why you can't? Because you have to pay attention to our people. You have to watch our people because we have an enigma to ourselves. That's right.
To make one thing very clear, I have advocated and
Somebody talking about some industry hoax, dude. Man, I don't want to hear none of that. That's a plant. I ain't trying to hear none of that. Anybody putting out these, listen, they put out those lies to do what? Make it seem like we ain't as great as we are. Make it seem like this stuff ain't really happening. No, this is what really was happening. I don't trust nobody that don't got no face on their channel. I don't trust nobody that hide behind some damn equipment, but they ain't putting no face to their channel. But they trying to claim all these miscellaneous claims about our people. Nah, I ain't hearing none of that. Assata Shakur was a superhero, and so was the rest of the Black Panthers. Yeah, that part.
In a moment, we'll be joined by two guests, the scholar and activist Angela Davis, who faced her own murder trial decades ago, and Lennox Hines, Assata Shakur's longtime attorney for some 40 years. But first, we turn to Assata Shakur in her own words. In 1998, Democracy Now! Aired her reading an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba. She wrote the message after New Jersey state troopers sent the Pope a letter asking him to call for her extradition.
My name is Assata Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves. I spent my early childhood in the racist, segregated South. I later moved to the northern part.
People who keep claiming that she was a cop killer, no, she defended herself. If y'all sitting there believing what the feds was talking about in 2025, if you still believe the feds, who's supposed to have a 90% conviction rate but couldn't even keep Diddy down, if you still believe in the feds that can't release the Epstein files, if you still believe in the feds that can't even figure out what really happened to Charlie Kirk, then you lack all critical thinking skills at this point. When these police have a history of hunting down the Panther Party, gunning them down one by one, where the military has a history of experimenting on our people, where J. Edgar Hoover himself said that he had a fear of a black messiah. All of the rhetoric he put out there about the Black Panther Party. The fact that COINTELPRO was a real thing. It's real. You can look it up. And rest in peace to Assata Shakur. Y'all talking about she was a cop killer. She defended herself. The feds is lying. All they do is lie. All Esau the crafty hunter do is lie, kill, steal, destroy, mutilate, and conquer through evil and conquest. All they do is lie. They're murderers. They are their father, the devil. From the beginning, they ain't do nothing but lie.
Of the country where I've realized that Black people were equally victimized by racism and oppression. I grew up and became a political activist, participating in student struggles, the anti-war movement, and most of all, in the movement for the liberation of African Americans in the United States. I later joined the Black Panther Party, an organization that was targeted by the COINTELPRO program.
And if you a brother or sister in the truth, make sure you double tap the screen. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up for our sister Assata Shakur.
A program that was set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to eliminate all political opposition to the U.S. government's policies to destroy the Black liberation movement in the United States, to discredit activists, and to eliminate potential leaders. Under the COINTELPRO program, many political activists were harassed, imprisoned, murdered, or otherwise neutralized. As a result of being targeted by COINTELPRO, I, like many other young people, was faced with the threat of prison, underground, exile, or death.
And that's what she was faced with. That's what revolutionaries was faced with the possibility of losing their lives, having total exile. Let me do Freddie a favor, man, because y'all been watching some industry hoax dude claiming that some guy that puts out videos, in case you wonder what I'm talking about, some guy that puts out videos that tries to undermine what was really going on, trying to make it seem like this is all CIA and never really happened. That's all lies. When you got family, when you got elders who still living, who was around during this time, you already know. See, they like to discredit our fight. That's what they like to do. Somebody said she worked for the FBI. How the hell she worked for the FBI when she was on the Fed's number? She was like on the top of the terrorist list. See, y'all not making sense. Y'all not making sense. And see, that was part of the proxy. This is what they put out there to make us believe that they wasn't really fighting. Yeah, that industry hoax dude, he did a major disservice to our people, bro. Straight up. And I've seen his videos. And all of it is a reach and a stretch.
The FBI, with the help of local police agencies, systematically fed false accusations and fake news articles.
Now that's what's real. That the feds was putting out false accusations on our people, putting out fake news articles. Now that's what really was happening.
The press, accusing me and other activists of crimes we did not commit. Although in my case, the charges were eventually dropped or I was eventually acquitted, the national and local police agencies created a situation where, based on their false accusations against me, any police officer could shoot me on sight. It was not until the Freedom of Information Act was passed in the mid-70s that we began to see the scope of the United States government's persecution of political activists. At this point, I think that it is important to make one thing very clear. I have advocated, and I still advocate, revolutionary changes in the structure.
Matt Hodges says, I believe her too, but why are you trying to divide people by color? Matt Hodges, I'm not trying to divide people by color. People are being judged based on what they're saying, sir. All right? If you got people coming in here who are suspected white supremacists who are trying to undermine our people. Here it is. We're remembering a sister of ours. And you got these suspected white supremacists in the troll, in the chat. Those are the people getting put in place, sir. If you're not a suspected white supremacist, you shouldn't feel that this is divisive at all. Yeah, you shouldn't feel this is divisive at all. You should understand where we're coming from.
And in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate self-determination for my people and for all oppressed people inside the United States. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation.
And that's what major problem right now. Capitalist exploitation in our community is a ruthless, malignant root. It's infectious. The capitalist exploitation in 2025 is the worst. And it's crazy that we still got to deal with that so many years later.
the abolition of racist policies, the eradication of sexism, and the elimination of political repression. If that is a crime, then I am totally guilty. To make a long story short, I was captured in New Jersey in
She was captured. Let's hear it from her own words. Now, I don't want to hear the feds. I don't care what the feds said about Assata Shakur. Let's hear what she said. No, this wasn't Tupac's mom. This was Tupac's godmother.
1973, after being shot with both arms held in the air.
Hold on. Now, does this sound like a cop killer? Or does this sound like a woman who was under attack? Listen to what she said. I believe her.
To make a long story short, I was captured in New Jersey in 1973 after being shot with both arms held in the air and then shot again from the back. I was left on the ground to die, and when I did not, I was taken to a local hospital where I was threatened, beaten, and tortured. In 1977, I was convicted in a trial that can only be described as a legal lynching. In 1979, I was able to escape with the aid of some of my fellow comrades.
Yeah, she broke up out of the jail, man. We some heroes. We some superheroes. Yeah, they shot, beat, tortured her, and she escaped. She escaped. Yeah. And that lady ain't lying. See, she did what so many other of our people couldn't do. Escape the deadly clutches of the no-knock warrant. Imagine if Breonna Taylor would have escaped. Yeah, she got up out of there. The Panthers broke her out of there. Y'all can call that criminal all you want. I call it survival. That was survival.
In 1977, I was convicted in a trial that can only be described as a legal lynching. In 1979, I was able to escape with the aid of some of my fellow comrades. I saw this as a necessary step, not only because I was innocent of the charges against me, but because I knew that the racist legal system in the United States, I would receive no justice. I was also afraid that I would be murdered in prison. I later arrived in Cuba, where I am currently living in exile.
And she lived all her days. She just recently passed away today, age 78. Let that sister rest in peace. We need to remember her legacy. That's what we here for today. And double tap your screen for Assata Shakur. If you're on the right side of history and you ain't believing the lies from the feds, if you ain't believing the COINTELPRO lies, if you ain't believing the lying news articles they put out to target our people.
Political refugee. The New Jersey State Police and other law enforcement officials say they want to see me brought to justice. But I would like to know what they mean by justice. Is torture justice? I was kept in solitary confinement for more than 2 years.
And then look, there's pictures. There's evidence. There's proof. And we still not believing that this woman wasn't under attack and defended herself. Let me tell y'all now, this is what I want y'all to do. I want you to look at the chat. I just want you to see that this racism still goes on today, and these people hate us. They absolutely hate us. But, you know, Sister Assata, she don't got to deal with this no more. Sister Assata, she in paradise right now. Kirk looking up at us. Assata, she in a better place.
Is mostly in men's prisons. Is that justice? My lawyers were threatened with imprisonment and imprisoned. Is that justice? I was tried by an all-white jury without even the pretext of impartiality and then sentenced to life in prison.
And see, that's the dangerous game the feds was playing. And I'm gonna say this too, on social media, I ain't got no friends, bro. Because listen, let me say it this way. I only got a few people I associate with, because when you had these demonic devils trying to sick the feds on me falsely, where was you niggas at to speak up on my behalf? A lot of you niggas tripped me out. Y'all had these sellouts and Sambos trying to falsely turn me into the feds, and nobody had no word to say about it on social media. But then when these weirdos start being successful for being raccoons and Sambos, now y'all want to speak up. But y'all wasn't trying to get them out of the community when they was trying to get a brother no-knock warrant and get me assassinated through proxy on here, though. Was y'all? That's why I don't rock with too many of y'all on here. Because I know how dangerous that type of stuff is. I know, because you got your own people playing fair games too. Yeah, you got your own people playing fed games, trying to get somebody assassinated. Y'all witness these people online do that to me and ain't say a damn thing. Y'all ain't say nothing. But then y'all want to speak about it when they cooning. Fuck out of here.
Plus 33 years. Is that justice? Let me emphasize that justice for me is not the issue I am addressing here. It is justice for my people that is at stake. When my people receive justice, I am sure that I will receive it too.
That is
That's
an
right.
excerpt of a letter Assata Shakur read, an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba in 1998.
Nah, some of y'all don't know what happened to me because y'all new to the platform. The people that I said that to, they know who I'm talking to. The people that listen, the people that needed to hear that, they know who I'm talking to. I know we on vertical stream right now. It's just crazy to me how evil people are, bro. How you will have your own people in 2025 try to sick the feds on you for no reason. They try to get you literally weaponized. For those who don't know, let me just get on here. So I had some people on here who tried to falsely claim that I was a convicted felon with firearms. Yes, this is what they did. They tried to get my house raided because they don't like my talking points. And this was other black people who did this in 2025, lied in the public, tried to get me raided and swatted. And it's so many people who died in these raids, died in these swats. And the fact that social media was not really speaking about that, like, yo, that's out of pocket. Y'all trying to do the brother like that. The fact that it was only a couple people that spoke on my behalf, I'm on some fuck the rest of y'all. Real talk. Straight up. Because ain't nobody would listen. If something would have happened to me, no knock warrant, like what happened to so many people, what happened to Fred Hampton, you know what I'm saying? Nobody was speaking on my behalf. I had to make countless videos defending myself publicly because they was trying to get me assassinated through proxy. Nobody spoke on it. None of these content creators, nobody who had a mic cared about what was going on. But now that one of these Negroes then Sambo'd his way to the top, now everybody want to talk about him. But everybody's seen that these Bamas was playing fed games. And of course, I ain't broke no laws. I ain't done nothing against the law or anything like that. But the fact that they even tried that, and our community, we supposed to be together. The fact that nobody spoke on that,
It's crazy to me. Only a select few. There is a couple. There is a couple people who spoke on it. Like, hold on now, you out of pocket. But the point I'm making, look, this is the point I'm making. The Fed's been playing dirty for a long time. Yeah, I mean, you had some people just hating, just telling lies, trying to get the Feds to raid somebody. Y'all don't think that's a step too far? Yeah, that's right. Nobody stands on your side when you tell the truth. That's why this conversation ignites something, because even today I see people talking against Assata Shakur. Man, let her rest in peace though. She's in a better place. But the point I'm making is, in 2025, things ain't really changed that much, man. It ain't really changed that much. It didn't.
When we come back from break, we'll be joined.
Yeah, Assata Shakur, man, let her rest in peace. I'm not going to go on too much longer about this. We will get, let me see if they do have some data on how she passed, and we'll go there. Yep. So we just remembering Assata Shakur. We got to hear some things from her own words. Hold on, let me see. We got something from ABC News.
Over 40 years, the FBI has been searching for this woman. They believed for all this time that she had been in Cuba, but they were not able to extradite her from Cuba because of the bad relations that we had with Fidel Castro. As you point out, we are learning about her death today, and it was all around the conviction and the execution-style murder of a New Jersey state trooper. It was 32-year-old Reno.
They claim it was done execution style. I don't believe that.
Forrester, and this came as a result. He was shot and killed as a result of the police stopping
I don't believe nothing they say. They liars.
Car that she was in, because she had been part of a nationwide manhunt because she was a suspect in a grenade attack on police back in the early 1970s. And as you point out, she escaped from that prison, went to Cuba.
Yeah, she was a soldier.
She was
a soldier of truth.
Born in 1947 in New York, grew up in New York and North Carolina. And at one point, she had joined the Black Panthers and became a part of the Black Liberation Army. And you point out also that she changed her name. And living in Cuba all this time, they had even thought that when Barack Obama was president, when he went over to Cuba, that he might bring up this case and try to get her from Cuba. Didn't happen. According to Cuban authorities, she died in of old age and of health complications.
Yep. May Assata Shakur rest in peace, man. Thank y'all for viewing. You know, do your research on Assata Shakur, look her up, get the information, and then, you know, understand that some of our people did make it out of the war zone that J. Edgar Hoover and COINTELPRO created. Y'all be blessed out there. Peace.